Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is going to be a top 10. The topic of this top 10, ways to fix the Cruiserweight division. Now we've all seen recently they've added the Cruiserweights to Monday Night Raw as part of the WWE programming, also with their own show 205 Live. It's been a few months, mostly it's been a dud, met with a lot of trepidation. So here's my way to fix that. Or my top 10 ways you could fix that. Number 10, tie some of the cruiserweights with established groups. Something like using Xavier Woods from the New Day to go for a cruiserweight championship or just wrestle in the division. Adding a cruiserweight to the Wyatt family. You know, stuff of that nature. Triple H having a cruiserweight that's going after the championship on his behalf. You know, stuff that's going to give the fans a guy that, you know, basically is with an established star or established group already. Give them a little bit of a rub. Help bring that star power to this product and show. Number 9 is Cruiserweight specials. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a whole pay-per-view or even a long show, but much like NXT does with the NXT Arrivals or NXT TakeOver, how they have specials at the months of big pay-per-views, why not on opposite months, on the lesser pay-per-views, why don't we get a special for a 205 Live or a Cruiserweight special? It wouldn't hurt. Even three a year, give us something to make the division and make the 205 Live show feel more important, in my opinion. Give us specials. Give us something other than the show and other than their performances on Raw. Number 8. This goes along with the number 10 a little bit, but in a little bit different way. Move some of the main roster guys that fit into the Cruiserweight division into the Cruiserweight division. There's no reason a guy like Kalisto shouldn't be in the Cruiserweight division, or the aforementioned Xavier Woods, or any other guy that's under the 205 weight limit. These guys should be available and, you know, able to challenge for the titles. And the guys that are close, like a Tyler Breeze, they could easily say, hey, we need you to shed this much weight. We want to use you in the Cruiserweight division for a little bit to boost up their relativity, or basically to boost up the star power of the show and of the division. Now, my number 7. Adopt luchador tag rules. Now, I don't know how many of you have followed Lucha Libre or are familiar, but in Lucha Libre the tag team rules are a little bit different. If you adopt their rules for Cruiserweight tag matches, it becomes their tag matches and their trios matches are highly exciting contests, because you don't have to tag out for a new guy to come in. If you go to the floor, your partner or partners have the opportunity to enter the match, basically so that it's non-stop action. That's why you see in Lucha Libre guys flying in and out of the ring, doing all kinds of crazy maneuvers, because it's part inherent of that show. And it would be something different than what you see with the tag team division on Raw or on SmackDown. And you don't necessarily have to create a Lucha tag team division or a Cruiserweight tag team division, but just infuse some of the Lucha rules into the Cruiserweight tag matches. Explain to the crowd, we're adopting this. This is a traditional Cruiserweight style tag match. And fans will accept it. Now, my number 6, while we're on the topic of Lucha Libre, bring in more luchadors. Part of the reason the WCW Cruiserweight division was as popular as it was, were a lot of the top stars were luchadors from Mexico. Guys like Rey Mysterio, guys like Psychosis, Juventud Guerrera, La Parca, all these guys that were fantastic talents that were getting their breaks in America, doing a style that Americans hadn't seen, with a flair that Americans aren't used to, the masks, the colors, the high-flying maneuvers, made it something that you wanted to watch. You wanted to tune in and see Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis, or Rey Mysterio versus Ultimo Dragon, or any of the other combinations of guys that were traditionally came from the Mexican wrestling, from Lucha Libre, that gave infusion and helped create the division just as much as guys like Chris Jericho or Dean Malenko did. The Luchadors helped give it a style and make it something special in WCW, and WWE could take a page out of the history and bring in some of those guys. I mean, there's plenty of talent down in Mexico. There's tons of great wrestlers. All you need to do to even see this is turn on Lucha Underground, and you can see a lot of great lucha talent, and people love that show. A lot of wrestling fans, it's one of their favorite wrestling shows. Now, my number 5. This one I think should have been a no-brainer coming out of the Cruiserweight Classic. Push Cedric Alexander to the moon. The guy has proven he can connect with your crowd, and he has an interesting story and an interesting talent. He deserves more than to be Alicia Fox's ex-boyfriend. He deserves to be the face of the company, to be the face of the Cruiserweight division, to be one of the guys you promote. And in my opinion, he reminds me so much of some of the great talents that have been through, like a Dean Malenko, like a Chris Jericho, like guys that can wrestle any style at any time and basically be put in there with anybody and have a great match. And that's what I think of Cedric Alexander. And I think if given the right opportunity, Cedric Alexander could main event WrestleMania, in my opinion. And I think he's a guy that they're woefully underusing that could be pushed to help this division. Now, our number 4. Create a partnership with a company like Chikara. Now, I'm going to specifically name Chikara because they have a lot of talent that's under the 205-pound limit. And also, going back to what I said with the Luchadors, with the stylistic involvement or aesthetics, they have a lot of guys that have interesting looks and gimmicks and styles. You got guys down in Chikara like Ophidian, Ultramantis Black, Icarus, Hallowicked, Frightmare, and the list goes on and on. That all could be used to infuse into the division, all while you add another show that you can put on the network, help benefit the WWE network by putting Chikara specials on there, do a talent exchange. Have maybe, Fire Ant come over or Hallowicked come over and wrestle some matches on 205 Live in exchange for maybe Cesaro goes to Chikara, or, Seth Rollins, or whoever you want to put on one of their shows to help bump up their live crowd. I think it would be a mutual agreement that would help them a lot. It doesn't necessarily have to be Chikara, but they're the company that sticks out in my mind that would be the best bet to bring in guys that are going to draw a crowd and draw your attention to them. Now, my number 3. As of this taping, we're 7 months into the Cruiserweight division. In that 7 months since the inaugural championship, we've had 4 title changes. In my opinion, that's a little bit under one every 2 months, which to me is way too much. Slow down your title changes. You're not giving us enough time to care about Rich Swann as champion, about Brian Kendrick as champion, about TJ Perkins as champion. The thing that frustrates me too is that as soon as a guy loses, he's disappearing. He's no longer relevant in the title picture. That would be like if John Cena lost the championship and then you didn't see him chase the championship for 2-3 years. Or if Randy Orton never got to defend the title, or never went after the title. It just doesn't make sense. If you're at the top of the food chain, you should stay relatively near the top of the food chain, at least in this short of time frame. I would have been okay with 2 changes, maybe 3. You put in a surprise one in there. I don't mind short reigns. I don't mind a guy having a 1-month reign or a 2-week reign or a 1-week reign even, as to say, hey, you've done a lot for the company, we're going to give you a title reign just to put it on your resume. However, I want most of my title reigns to be 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Building the guy that holds the championship is something special. Part of the reasons why a lot of the guys you think of that are special in your mind is because of this. Guys like Shinsuke Nakamura, who had a long reign with the NXT Championship, or CM Punk with his historical reign with the World Title, or John Cena, who had long reigns with the World Title. You remember this. You don't necessarily remember the Dolph Ziggler one-night reign or the Edge 1-month reign. It's because it's not as important. You don't recall seeing 5, 6, 7 pay-per-views in a row with these guys headlining it. And I know the Cruiserweights aren't going to headline a pay-per-view, but if they're defending their titles 6, 7 pay-per-views in a row, you automatically notice. You take notice and you remember that. It sticks out in your brain, which is what they should be trying to achieve. You should be trying to create those moments that fans are going to remember, that fans are going to talk about in 10, 20 years, that one of their favorite matches of all time was Rich Swann finally beating TJ Perkins, or whatever the case may be. That was just one I was throwing out. But with them passing it around like a hot potato, it lessens the value of the title, in my opinion. Now, my number 2, move the tapings. The product for 205 Live is being hurt drastically by being taped after SmackDown. You've already got a crowd that's been there for 2+ hours watching SmackDown, watching the pre-show, and now you're getting guys. You're watching a main event that has a Bray Wyatt, a Daniel Bryan, or not Daniel Bryan, I'm sorry, Dolph Ziggler, AJ Styles, John Cena, Randy Orton, some of the great wrestling talent, some of the big stars, and then you're being followed up with a match with Noam Dar and Tony Nese. Nothing against those two. I happen to like both of those talents really well, but they're nowhere near the star power, and they're not a reason for someone that's a casual fan not to get up and say, okay, we've seen John Cena, we've seen Randy Orton, we've seen Dean Ambrose, we're going to go ahead and leave. It's not enough of a reason for those fans to stick around that are tired, that have families, that need to be at work the next day. So you're seeing half the crowd is still there. What I would do, if it was up to me, I would tape 205 Live totally separate of any other show. I would do it at a house show somewhere. There's no reason why they can't bring camera equipment to house shows and tape them on Saturdays, or do a tapings like NXT does. Do 4 shows in a row, at one place. Make it a special 205 tipping. I know the name of the show is 205 Live, which I could get around doing that if they did the tapings. It wouldn't bother me as much. Some people would be bothered, but not me, in my opinion. To me, that would bring a crowd that's there and wanting to see that product specifically. And it would improve and make for me and the others that are watching 205 Live on the WWE Network, it would make it seem more important if the crowd was full and they're cheering or booing the guys in these matches. Now, before we get on to our number 1, we do a little thing here called the best of the rest. Basically, this is things that were considered for the top 10, but didn't make the list for whatever reason. First of the best of the rest, better storylines. Now, this is something that plagues the WWE in general, so I'm not going to... It's the reason why I didn't make the list. The whole, as a WWE, they have trouble bringing compelling storylines, but it is something that could help the Cruiserweight division, so it's why it was considered. Now, another thing. Merchandise. Out of all of the guys on the Cruiserweight division, I think there's only two people that have a shirt or something, anything you can buy on WWE Shop, and that's TJ Perkins and Neville. As you can see here, I have a Lince Dorado shirt, one of the stars of the Cruiserweight division, or so we're told. I didn't get it through WWE. This was through Pro Wrestling Tees, through their subscription service. So, why doesn't WWE have a Lince Dorado shirt? Why don't they have a Cedric Alexander shirt? Why can't I buy merchandise from my favorite stars in the division? I know it sounds stupid and it's not a reason, but again, it adds to the aesthetic. If you see guys in the crowd with Lince Dorado shirts, with TJ Perkins shirts, with Brian Kendrick shirts, Tajiri shirts, Akira Tozawa shirts, it makes it look like the guys are more important. And that's what we want. We want this to seem as important as possible. Now, last but not least, on our best of the rest, I think they have the formula wrong. They use Monday Night Raw to push the random matches, the tag matches with 3 guys against 3 guys just randomly put together, or the non-title matches, or just randomness on Raw with the Cruiserweight division, which it's supposed to be part of. There's a couple things that could fix that. My opinion would be is use a Cruiserweight Championship much like the old WCW TV Championship. Every week it needs to be defended on Raw. You get to see the title, you get to see a championship match, and you get to see meaning. Now you take that, use 205. Here's why I say use it on Raw, not 205 Live. Monday Night Raw averages roughly 3 million viewers. On a bad week, 2 million. On a great week, 5 million. However, as we know by the WWE networks and the quarterly reports, they only have 1.5 million viewers. Now, the 3 million that watch Raw, that's just in America. There's probably much more across the world. I'm not sure what the total numbers are, but you got 1.5 million for this product and 3 million over here. Wouldn't you put your more interesting and compelling matches on the thing where the most eyes are, the 3 million? Give the 3 million a reason to buy the WWE network and add to your 1.5 million over here? I mean, I'm not saying make it mutually exclusive to Raw. I would say if you had 10 Cruiserweight title matches, and I'm not counting pay-per-views, just 10 on TV, I would put 8 on Raw as to 2 on 205 Live. Because it makes the belt seem more, the championship, whatever you want to call it, seem more important if it's defended on the flagship show of the WWE, Monday Night Raw. In my opinion, that's just what I think. But that's what I have for the best of rest. Let us know what you think. Now, I'm going to roll on, jump right into our number 1, and it's basically more of exactly what I was just getting at. Use Monday Night Raw for character development as a way to build stars. You can use 205 Live as all. It's a 1-hour show. So you can put 2, 3, 4 matches, however many matches, a couple little backstage segments on there. But I would use Monday Night Raw as the main highlight of your Cruiserweights. I would take the first hour of Monday Night Raw, dedicated to the Cruiserweights. Now you have 2 hours of programming with Cruiserweight wrestlers on it every week, which is a good amount. It's almost as much, it would be as much as a Raw roster and a SmackDown roster both get, with a whole new division. Now, you may not use the whole entire, you may not use the first hour, you could switch it around, use a half hour here, 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there. But I would develop and give a good chunk of the Monday Night Raw show. We don't need every Monday night to see Mick Foley or Stephanie McMahon or Triple H or someone standing in the middle of the ring for 20 minutes cutting a promo. Why can't we start off this show with an incredible match between Noam Dar and Akira Tozawa that goes 20 minutes? Why can't I start off the match with Brian Kendricks versus Tajiri? Or Rich Swann versus Cedric Alexander? What would it hurt to start off Monday? Try it. See if you could get fans of turning in and go, whoa, wait, what's this? This is different. This isn't Stephanie McMahon talking for 20 minutes. This isn't Mick Foley setting up the rest of the night for 20 minutes. And yes, those segments are needed, but I think it's used too much as a crutch. They use that crutch way too often. Throw up some variety. Give us more cruiserweights on Raw, more of the show dedicated to the cruiserweights, and give us a reason to care. That's the whole point of this top 10. We've got these amazing talents. Some of the best wrestlers in the world are in the cruiserweight division. I mean, Akira Tozawa is amazing. Lince Dorado is amazing. Cedric Alexander is amazing. Noam Dar is a special talent that hasn't had the real opportunity to show it. Rich Swann he can blow your mind with some of the stuff he can actually do. I mean, Grand Metalik, great, amazing wrestler that hasn't really been given that proper opportunity. Jack Gallagher, I mean, you got great talent. Use it. Use the talent to bring in new viewers. Give us something different. This is why you're topping out at 3.5 million. This is why you're struggling with the ratings. Think about this. As an overall Raw, at the height of Monday Night Raw and the Monday Night Wars era, there was 11 million people every week that watched professional wrestling on either WWE or WCW. How did we dwindle that 11 million down to 3 million? That's 1/4 of what the audience used to be. It's because the product isn't as good as it was. There's no competition. However, you shouldn't need competition. The NFL doesn't have competition, and their product continuously gets better. The Super Bowl that just passed is one of the best contested Super Bowls of all time. There's other examples. The Walking Dead doesn't have much competition for Sunday night television. However, they continue to try and improve their show. They try and make it better and better and more a good experience for fans. Now, some might agree or disagree, depending on what shows you like, but you get the general drift of what I'm getting at. If the trend is going down, something is wrong. So obviously something needs to be fixed. And I'm afraid that 6 months from now there's not going to be a cruiserweight division. There's not going to be a 205 Live. Half these talents are going to go back to the indies or wherever they came from. And the other half will be used as cannon fodder for the Braun Strowmans and Baron Corbins of the world. Which, don't get me wrong, Braun Strowman, Baron Corbin serve their purpose. They're exciting and fun talent to watch. But I don't need to have my Lince Dorados fed to them. I don't need Rich Swann fed to them. I need to see those guys given the best opportunity to carry the ball and make something special happen. Basically, that's all I have to say on that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another Heel Heat Top 10.